The New York Yankees are expected to be one of the favorites for Japan's top free agent coming over from the NPB, and that is right-handed starting pitcher Tatsuya Imai. Now, this report comes from Francis Romero, but it's not the first link we've seen the Yankees have to Tatsuya Imai, and that is because Yankee Source reported earlier in the month that the Yankees have strong interest in the right-hander. I reported on EmpireSportsMedia.com earlier in the week that the Yankees are very interested in adding a Japanese free agent to get back in that market. They desperately want back in. We're going to talk about all of those reports, everything about Tatsuya Imai, and more right here on Fireside Yankees. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell to check out Fireside Yankees and get updates on our next upload, to get notifications when we upload, when we post. We've got numerous posts a day at times, whether it's videos, posts, shorts. We've got tons of content coming out, so if you enjoy this kind of video and you like what we do, make sure again to like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's break down Tatsuya Imai real quick and talk about those reports. Now, the right-hander had a 1.92 ERA and a 2.01 FIP across 163 and two-third innings pitched, which came in 24 starts. Imai specializes in generating swings and misses and keeping the ball inside the ballpark, as in each of the last two seasons, he has not allowed more than 8 home runs. He had single-digit home run numbers in each of those years, 8 in 2024 and 6 in 2025. His ground ball rate this year was 48.3%. He usually keeps a fairly steady ground ball rate, never too high, but above the league average. His swinging strike rate this year climbed to 15.4%. It was one of the highest marks in the NPB, and his strikeout to walk percentage of 20.7% is firmly above average. Now, Imai sports a deep pitch mix. He's got a four-seam fastball, a slider, a splitter, a changeup, a sinker that's more of a Vulcan changeup. He's got a curveball as well. This is a deep repertoire. He mixes up his looks. He has various off-speed shapes, and it allows him to manipulate movement and keep hitters off balance. The right-hander has shown throughout his career in the NPB that he has had command issues, but he has curbed those command issues in his mid-20s. He went from walking 14.5% of batters faced in the 2021 season to walking just 7% of batters faced in the 2025 season. Furthermore, the right-hander's velocity is pretty solid at 95 miles per hour, and he has a very weird release point. So all of this allows him to be an effective starting pitcher, and scouts and analysts who have watched Imai throughout the years believe that he is capable of being a number 2 to number 3 caliber starter at the major league level. And for the Yankees, this is a player who they could have a lot of developmental success with. He is a low slot, low arm angle kind of guy, not in the same way that Will Warren and Michael King are. Those guys tend to get around the baseball, so you'll see them throw more sweepers and have less efficient spin. In the case of Imai, he's a pronator. He actually gets around the ball a little bit, but he spins it very efficiently, which allows him to get a little more ride than the league average pitcher does from his release point, and it's why he struggles to spin the ball away from right-handed batters. He usually spins the ball towards them. The only pitch he has that really spins away from them is his curveball. His slider actually spins towards righties a little bit, so the Yankees, I think, are going to have a difficult time trying to develop something that moves reliably away from righties, but I don't think that's a necessity in order for him to be an excellent starting pitcher. Some of the things I think the Yankees can do to improve and implement into his pitch mix to make him a better starter would be to have him either throw a cutter or a sinker. We see these high spin efficiency pronator types able to add another fastball shape, whether it's a sinker or a cutter. If you want to look at some guys around the league, you've got Luis Castillo, who has a four-seamer and a sinker. He fits the profile of a low arm slot guy who really spins the baseball efficiently. Brian Woo's in the same category. He has a sinker. If you want to look at some other pronator types, you have Garrett Cole, who doesn't struggle as much to move the ball towards right or away from right-handed hitters and towards left-handed hitters, but he throws a cutter, and he's had more effectiveness throwing a cutter than he has throwing a sinker, and Cole obviously does not feature a sweeper or a big sweeping breaking ball in his repertoire. It's that gyro slider that prioritizes vertical movement more than horizontal movement. So when we're breaking down Imai, I want to point out all the things that he comes with, both good and bad. I think the cons here, the first thing that stands out to me is the lack of years being a plus command guy. His walk rate has been in the double digits in all but 2 seasons, and in one of those 2 years, it was 9.8%. So he does have some pretty, I think, some pretty significant command issues. I think this past year it's definitely a possibility that he made massive strides. The data reflects that he made massive strides, but will that come to, rear its ugly head in 2026? Who knows? I also think when you compare him to some of the other NPB pitchers who have come over from Japan, you look at guys like Kodai Senga, Shota Imanaga. There's obviously Yoshinobu Yamamoto. I'm going to just say this right now. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is better than Tatsuya Imai, and that's not really close. But I'm going to have a graphic on screen here, and if you can see it, Kodai Senga is a pitcher who compares pretty favorably to Imai in terms of ERA, FIP, and strikeout to walk rate. If you look at Imanaga, while his strikeout to walk rate was better than all four of these pitchers, he had a high home run rate, and that definitely brought up concerns considering that Japan is not a league, or the NPB is not a league where we see a lot of home run hitters, so you could project a pretty significant home run issue in any ballpark. That's why teams like the Yankees were a little concerned with signing him. Senga had bigger command issues than Imai, and both Imanaga and Senga were in their 30s when they came over to the United States. Imai will be 27, turning 28 in May when he comes over to the U.S., so that's an advantage as well. So I think he's in between Imanaga, Senga, and then Yamamoto. He's better than Imanaga in my opinion. I think he might be better than Senga. I think there's an argument, or a strong argument for it, and I think he's clearly worse than Yamamoto. He's closer to Senga and Imanaga than he is to Yamamoto. Yamamoto was a freak of nature. That dude is one of the best pitchers in Japanese history. He's one of the best NPB pitchers we will ever see, and so I don't think it's fair to compare Imai to that, but I do believe he's capable of being a number 2 starter. We've seen Imanaga and Senga, in between injury issues, be number 2 starters. Imai doesn't come with those same injury concerns. He's been a guy who's taken the ball every 5th day. In each of the last 3 seasons, he's thrown over 130 innings. Each of the last 2 years is 163 2/3 and then 173 1/3. If you look at Kodai Senga, for example, Kodai Senga, in his last 2 years in the Japanese Nippon Baseball League, he tossed 144 innings in 2022 and then 84 2/3 innings in 2021. Again, that was his age 29 season in 2022. He was turning 30 when he came over to the United States. So we're talking about a guy, again, who was 30, had a pretty significant injury history, had a tendency to be on the shelf and deal with arm injuries. In the case of Imanaga, he was someone who didn't have the same level of injury concerns, but it's still a level of injury concern. He dealt with some injuries prior to coming over to the United States. And again, he was in his age 30 season when he debuted. Imai will be 2 years younger than those two guys will. So tying this all back and making that kind of comparative analysis, Tatsuya Imai is more durable than Senga and Imanaga. He throws harder than Imanaga. Doesn't throw, I would say he throws about as hard as Senga. His fastball shape is worse than Imanaga's, better than Senga's. I think his splitter, he doesn't have that standout pitch the way Senga does, and Imanaga didn't really have a quote-unquote dominant elite pitch the way Senga did. His four-seam fastball is kind of his calling card with a really good splitter. I think Imai has a better depth of repertoire than those two. I think there's more projectability. I think he really has the ability to become a really strong number 2 starter on a postseason contender for the Yankees. I think a number 3 starter behind Fried and Cole, and ahead of guys like Rodon and Schlittler, and that would give you just an incredible starting 5. You think about the New York Yankees starting 5 with those pitchers in it, you've got one of the best rotations in the entire sport, and it's not really even close. And to me, that's very valuable when you're trying to put together a roster for 2026, because opening day, that rotation is going to be horrific without any notable additions. They have Garrett Cole on the IL, Carlos Rodon on the IL. You're going to have Fried open the season with Schlittler, Warren, and Heel. And then I don't know who your number 5 starter is going to be. Is it going to be Alan Winans? Elmer Rodriguez Cruz is not really ready for this. And, to refer to Alan Winans here, he's not a major league starter in my opinion. So they'll need to add a starting pitcher in some capacity. And when you look at Cole and Rodon, I mean, you're relying on 2 guys who are coming back from elbow surgery to stay healthy. And you're relying on all 4 of your current MLB caliber starters to remain healthy, not only for the start of the year, but throughout the rest of the season. I know Schmidt's coming back, but you're relying on a guy coming back from elbow surgery in 365 days, essentially. That just feels so irresponsible to do if you're an organization trying to win the World Series. And for the Yankees, their message hasn't changed. Their message has always been it's World Series or bust. So I think acquiring a starting pitcher would reflect that. It does not have to be Tatsuya Imai. I think it can be another starter. Maybe it's closer to a number 3, number 4 type, but I think the Yankees need a starting pitcher. I expect them to be in on Imai, and I expect them to be in the Japanese market. I would love to see them pull one guy from there because I think there's some talent there, but I think for the Yankees, they don't want to keep missing out on these kinds of players. They have fallen to the wayside in the Japanese market. They have not netted a significant Japanese player since Masahiro Tanaka, which was ahead of the 2014 season. So that is over a decade ago. We are well away from that. Though, if you were born when Tanaka came over to the Yankees, you're 12 years old. You're 11 years old. Like, this isn't this is not a situation where we're looking at this and going, wow, the team, the Yankees, they're still really involved in the Japanese market. They're bridesmaids. They want to be the bride this time. So I think Imai is a chance for them to get back into that market. He'll get around 150 to 160 million, in my opinion. And you spread that out over 7 years. That's not going to be too significant to the luxury tax. It'll be around $20 to $24 million a year. But I would love to know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think the Yankees should acquire Tatsuya Imai, or do you think that they should not acquire him and go for a lesser starter or a different starter on the market? I'd love to get your perspectives in the comment section below. This is Fireside Yankees. My name is Ryan Garcia. You can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and of course this YouTube page, all under the handle at Fireside Yankees. We'll see you guys in the next one, and peace out.